Hi, and welcome to the Haunted Manor on YouTube, and thank you very much for taking a moment to watch this channel. I am Pete Mitchell, proud owner and creator of the Haunted Manor. Today, I'm going to tell you the tale about how my love for Halloween led me to becoming a haunter.
Welcome to the Haunted.
I grew up as a child of the 80s with movies, books, TV, cartoons that were all heavily inundated by stunning visual effects. There was makeup, costume, artistry, creatures, fantastic sets that brought imagination to life. It mesmerized children and adults alike and was largely done without the use of computer graphics. The designers behind this magic stood on the shoulders of giants before them, wonderfully inventive people that were influenced by global impacts such as the Great Depression and World Wars. Now, the techniques used since the early 1900s fascinated audiences with the Universal Studios movie monsters, and from there, numerous genres of entertainment were born. Generations of kids were spellbound by some of the masters of the greatest blockbuster films. Marketing successes rose to become billion-dollar empires, and theme park attractions honor these legendary concepts even to this day. This explosion of creativity had a huge impact on me. I remember as a kid playing with toys, pretending to be characters from these fictional masterpieces. I love Star Wars. My parents took me to see A New Hope when it first came out at the theaters. I sat a year old enthralled for the whole thing. They said I was so well behaved they had to stay for another showing. And one of my earliest Halloween costumes was C-3PO. And I also remember building an R2-D2 robot out of a trash can in my room. My apprenticeship had already begun. I also love Disney, and we had cable TV and a subscription to the Disney Channel. And I remember every year a Halloween special airing, including Night on Bald Mountain, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Lonesome Ghosts, Donald Duck and the Gorilla, Trick or Treat with Witch Hazel, and these episodes became fixed in my mind as a tradition to look forward to. If you've not had the pleasure of watching these, do yourself a favor and check them out sometime. My family also traveled to the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, where I was introduced to the Haunted Mansion. Nothing else anywhere compares to the awe that I experienced there. It became the pinnacle example of a classic haunted house, and Walt Disney became a role model for me right alongside George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. I want to throw a special shout out to Jim Davis for Garfield's Halloween Adventure and to Charles Schultz for It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Alongside the aforementioned creations, these two shows hold a special place in my memory. As I grew older, I was given a book written by John Ormsby about movie monsters, and I devoured it. I tried to follow nearly all the tutorials it had on monster makeup. From there, I remember continuing to design landscapes for my action figures. I drew pictures, comics, wrote stories of my own. I listened to cassette tapes of my favorite movie soundtracks. And by the time I was going on my last trick-or-treat run, I had built a Ghostbusters outfit complete with proton pack and blaster. In high school, I participated in set design for the plays. I attempted to write and record my own music, and I continued to draw. In my senior year, I took an interest in the darker side of entertainment. I started listening to metal, industrial, and some goth music, started wearing spikes, leathers, black fabrics, and I ran with similar friends. I smelt like cloves and cinnamon, and I looked like a character right out of the Lost Boys. I read stories originating from the 1800s, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, fixating on creatures like vampires, werewolves, and creepy Victorian castles. At my parents' home in my late teen years, I started taking an interest in participating on Halloween night, interacting with the neighborhood kids and scaring them away. So I dressed up as a werewolf, playing a pipe organ and howling. I scared a lot of kids, became notorious in the neighborhood, but This woke something up inside of me that hasn't rested to this day. After high school, I went to work for a Halloween theme park named Spooky World, and this is really where I cut my teeth. And I helped make many of the attractions. I learned so much about lighting, sound, construction, many of the skills that you need for running a haunted house, and I believe this provided the most momentum to become the haunter that I am today. I met a lot of neat people in the industry, and after construction, many of us were then put in charge of running one of the haunts for the rest of the season, which that was a lot of fun. In addition to that, I volunteered at other haunted attractions around town, most notably a hayride through night. I played the part of Dr. Frankenstein, bringing his monster to life. It's now been over 20 years since that time frame, and while I still have fondness towards many of the inspirations that led me to where I am today, my personal life has changed. So in 2000, I married my lovely wife, my college sweetheart, and we became parents. We had new responsibilities. Immersing myself into Halloween just went on the back burner. In 2005, I started decorating a little bit more again. I had a gigantic puking jack-o'-lantern out in front of my house. It wasn't until 2013 that I got bitten by the Halloween bug, and quite badly. Now, that was the year that I really started expanding decorations outside. I put together some cobwebs, a spooky sound CD, made a cardboard coffin with a skeleton inside, set up a fog machine, a couple of party lights, and it was a lot of fun. But my haunt really took on a bigger expansion the following year in 2014. Now that was the year that some of my most foundational concepts really started to come into play. That was the year that I started acquiring tombstones, gravestones for outside. That was also the year that I had made my very first custom soundtrack for Halloween night. And that was also the year that I put together the costume that I usually have, the part of the Frankenstein monster. That's the role that suits me best. Now I'm 6'6", so my height really helps me tremendously in scaring away trick-or-treaters. Then in 2016, we sold our starter home and bought a bigger home. Among many of the things that this enabled for our family, it also allowed for the beginning of the Haunted Manor. Now I finally had plenty of space to store my growing collection of Halloween stuff. I had a more versatile facade to work with out front. I had mature trees that I could decorate. I had neighbors that got into the spirit a little bit more than the last place. I've got plenty to work with here. And since that time, I've consistently persisted to add at least one new thing to my haunt every year. Now, this could be a new prop or addition to the display, but that's a goal I've got for myself, is something new every year. And there's been times where I get a little nuts and I go over budget, and it's difficult for me because I'm trying to maintain the things that I've already had and made while adding new stuff, and so I'm trying to strike that sweet spot, that perfect balance. Another goal I have is to challenge myself to make my props from scratch myself. And I find this to be one of the most rewarding things that I've ever chosen to do, and has really helped me to celebrate Halloween in a way that I never imagined possible. So that's my story right up to about 2021. In a separate video, I'll share more about plans that I have for this channel. I've got some big ideas, so much I want to make for you, and I'm just dying to tell you all about it. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button. It really helps me out. Feel free to share and subscribe, and if you're willing, leave a message down in the comment section below telling me how you became a haunter. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, be safe and happy haunting.